Hey everyone, welcome back to True Life Tales. Today's story is a wild one, and it's a classic case of what happens when a millionaire and his entitled Karen of a wife think their bank account gives them the right to bully everyone in the neighborhood. Have you ever dealt with people who thought they owned the sun, the wind, and even your own property? Well, this couple tried to take away the one thing that made my house special, my view. But they forgot that property laws don't care about your pearls or your luxury cars. This is a story of epic revenge, a 911 call that backfired, and a legal battle that left a millionaire speechless. Let's get into it. I live in a beautiful area on the outskirts of a major city. My house is modest, but it sits on a cliffside with a breathtaking view of the valley below. I spent 15 years saving up for this place. It's my dream house. For a long time, the lot next to mine was empty. But then, Roger and his wife Linda moved in. Roger is a tech mogul who sold his company for millions, and Linda is the definition of a queen Karen. She doesn't walk through the neighborhood, she inspects it, usually with a look of pure disgust on her face. When they started building their glass and steel mansion, they didn't even introduce themselves. Instead, Linda would stand on the property line, pointing at my house and loudly telling the contractors how shabby my yard looked. I tried to be nice. I walked over and told Roger that his new fence was about 2 feet into my yard. Roger didn't even look at me, but Linda stepped forward. Adjusting her pearls, she looked me up and down and said, "Listen, we are spending $5 million on this build. Your little shack is already bringing down our aesthetic. If the fence is on your grass, consider it an upgrade." I was stunned. That was the first red flag. 6 months later, their mansion was finished. But then came the real trouble. Roger and Linda decided that my small, cozy guest cottage, which sat at the edge of my property, was blocking their view of the sunset from their master bedroom. I woke up one Saturday morning to find Linda standing in my yard, literally banging on my cottage door. I walked out, and she was red in the face. "This hut has to go," she screamed. "It's obstructing our view. Do you have any idea how much we paid for this lot? We didn't pay for a view of your grandfather's shed." Roger was standing right behind her, looking smug. He offered me $50,000 to tear it down. I told him no. That cottage was built by my grandfather, and no amount of Karen screaming was going to change that. Linda let out a screech. "You're being unreasonable. We have friends on the city council. We will have this condemned." I laughed and went inside. But they weren't joking. A week later, a city inspector showed up because of an anonymous report that my cottage was a fire hazard. I knew it was Linda. I spent thousands on lawyers and inspectors to prove it was legal, and I won. But Linda wasn't done. She convinced Roger to build a massive stone terrace right up to my bedroom window with blinding floodlights that stayed on all night. Every time I walked into my backyard, Linda would be on her balcony staring at me through binoculars. One evening, I was having a quiet barbecue with friends when Linda leaned over the railing and yelled, "Could you keep the smell of cheap charcoal to yourself? Some of us are trying to enjoy an organic dinner." My friends were shocked. That was the breaking point. I realized being nice was getting me nowhere. I spent 3 nights reading every single zoning law and easement regulation for our county. And that's when I found the ultimate weapon, the spite fence statute and the agriculture loophole. I discovered that their mansion was built on land that was technically still zoned as semi-agriculture. This meant that while they could build a house, The property owners were also allowed to keep livestock support structures without a permit, as long as they were portable. I called my cousin who runs a logistics company and ordered 25 massive industrial grade shipping containers, and I made sure they were painted the ugliest, brightest neon purple imaginable. The day the trucks arrived, Linda was out there in seconds, screaming at the drivers, "You can't park those here! This is a luxury community! I'm calling the police!" I walked out with a smile. "Actually, Linda, I'm starting a climate control mushroom farm. These are my growing units. It's all perfectly legal." She was shaking with rage. "A mushroom farm? In purple boxes? Roger, do something!" But Roger just stood there, looking at the wall of purple metal that was slowly rising, blocking every single inch of their sunset view. By the time the last container was stacked too high, their first floor was in total darkness. Their $1 million view was now a view of neon purple rust. Linda finally did what she was always threatening to do. She called 911. Two police officers arrived, looking very confused. Linda was hysterical. "Officer, arrest him! He's building a mountain of trash. He's harassing us. My husband is a major donor to the city." I calmly handed the officers my business license for high density fungi cultivation and the county zoning map. One officer looked at the containers, then at the map, and then at Linda. "Ma'am," he said, trying not to laugh, "it's an agriculture structure on agricultural land. There is no crime here. Please stop calling 911 for civil disputes or you'll be fined for misuse of the emergency system." Linda looked like she was going to explode. The police left, and for the first time in months it was quiet. But the battle moved to the courtroom. Roger's high-priced lawyers tried to sue me for diminution of property value. My lawyers fired back with a discovery request that stopped them in their tracks. We found that Roger's stone terrace, the one Linda loved so much, was actually built over a protected drainage easement that they had forgotten to mention in their permits. If they wanted my purple boxes gone, they would have to tear down their $1 million terrace and pay the city hundreds of thousands in environmental restoration fees. Roger realized he was trapped. His mansion was now unsellable, with a purple wall in front of it, and he was facing a massive lawsuit from the city. I finally got a call from his lawyer asking for a settlement. I had my terms ready. I told them I would move the containers only if they signed a legally binding quiet and privacy agreement. They had to remove the floodlights, pay for a 20-foot tall cedar hedge to be planted at their expense to block their view into my yard, and Linda had to sign a no contact clause, meaning she could never speak to me or my guests again. Roger signed it the next day. He was tired of drama and the purple wall. Linda, however, had to be dragged into the lawyer's office. Apparently, she cried the whole time she was signing away her right to be a Karen. I moved the containers back to the scrapyard, but I kept my business license active, just as a reminder. Today, my backyard is a fortress of beautiful cedar trees. I can't see their house, and more importantly, Linda can't see me. Every now and then I see her car pull into the driveway, and she looks over at the hedge with a look of pure defeat. She learned the hard way that you can buy a $5 million house, but you can't buy the law, and you definitely can't bully a neighbor who knows how to fight back. Sometimes you just have to think outside of the box, or in my case, inside 25 neon purple ones. What's the most entitled thing a Karen has ever done to you? Did she call the police over something ridiculous? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading your stories of neighborhood justice. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to True Life Tales for more epic battles against entitled neighbors. Your support helps me keep telling these stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.